The 2026 Mount Everest season is begun. The Icefall Doctors have reached base camp and will soon begin weaving their way through the notorious Khumbu Icefall, where hundreds of climbers will be using their fixed ropes to satisfy their lifelong dream of climbing Everest. This very possibly could be the most crowded Mount Everest season in history. Only time will tell. Alan Arnett, the ultimate chronicler of all things Everest, projecting more than 1,000 summits, but things have already changed. And so here's the shape of it. The Tibetan side, the Chinese side, has been closed to outside climbers. So anyone with the dream of climbing Everest from the north, working with any expedition operator there, will have to go to the south side to get Everest or go elsewhere. Expedition operators are either scrambling or have already switched their teams to the south side. And now, what's very important is Nepal itself has elected a brand new government. Change is underway. Ex-rapper Balendra Shah Balen, he's known as, he sweeps to power in a Nepal landslide election victory. Gen Z asked for change. Last year, there were riots in the streets. Over 70 young people lost their lives in these riots, and a high proportion of the population is under 35. They said, "We demand change. We don't like the way it has been run for all these years. We want you out, and we want new people in there to run things." And with any luck, this will foreshadow change on Mount Everest as well, where we have chronicled on this channel many times the garbage problem, the crowding problem, and what is essentially a group of people, many of whom have no experience on the mountain. So I guess you could say a lawlessness or the Wild West of Mount Everest. But let's get into why this could be such a monumental season on Mount Everest. It starts, ironically, with a fireworks show, or reportedly a fireworks show changed the game on the Tibetan side. Last year, a Chinese artist was sponsored by the outdoor apparel company Arc'teryx. He launched 1,050 fireworks from the flanks of the Himalaya on the Tibetan plateau near Shigatse. This spectacular display of fireworks, certainly impressive, you gotta think really legally, environmentally, was more like a catastrophe. Chinese authorities, they concluded the display violated the grassland law, wildlife protection law, the Qinghai Tibet Ecological Protection Law, and in response, the China-Tibet Mountaineering Association, they did something that pretty much shook the climbing world. They closed the north side of Everest. A lot of us saw it coming. Explorers Web, Angela Benavides, she reported on it some time ago. But many expedition operators still appear to be holding on to hope that things could change. So it's pretty hard to find an official announcement of it anywhere. And not only does that closure of Mount Everest count on Mount Everest, but it also counts for Cho-Oyu and for Shishapangma, which is entirely in the China area. So it's an interesting thing that is happening for people who endeavor to climb all 14 8,000-meter peaks. Just like on Mount Everest, living in a place like where I live in New England of the United States, we get frequent storms. So it's necessary to always keep an eye on the forecast, because the one thing that comes with living in the mountains in this area is frequent or occasional power outages, and it sure helps to be prepared. So if you'll hang with me for just a moment, I want to take a short detour and tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Bluetti. In the past, when we got a power outage here, it meant a lot of scrambling. Candles or lanterns, and it is kind of fun sitting by the glow of the wood stove, but there's worrying about the food in the fridge and just turning on some lights to read or cook by. But this year, I've got something different. The Bluetti Elite 300 Portable Power Station. The Elite 300 is the most compact and smallest 3 kilowatt hours power station. It has 3 kilowatt hours of power in the body of a 2 kilowatt hour unit. And something else, here's the Elite 300 beside the Elite 200 V2. The Elite 300 is about the same size as the Elite 200 V2, but holds an extra 1 kilowatt hour of power. When the lights go out now, it doesn't feel like a waiting game anymore. It feels taken care of. The Bluetti Elite 300 is powerful enough to run the essentials, lights, devices, even small appliances, and it's completely silent. No fumes, no gas, just steady, reliable power. And this thing is solid. Smart control, simple convenience. With the Bluetti app, you can decide when the Elite 300 is active or in energy-saving sleep mode, schedule lights, air conditioning, heaters, pumps to turn on and off automatically. You have complete control with this app, no hassle. The Elite 300 also has UPS fast switching function with instant backup whenever the power drops. It switches to battery backup in 10 minutes. What I really like is that it's not just for outages. I could take it on a camping trip. I could basically bring a little bit of civilization into the wild without hauling a generator. For someone who spends time talking about the unpredictability of mountains, there's something comforting about having reliable power when you need it most. You've got to check out the Bluetti Elite 300, and they're offering the viewers of this channel a special discount. I've put a link in the description below, or just use my code Everest Mystery. The Bluetti Elite 300 has now become part of our planning prep for when a storm rolls in or when we're hit with an unexpected power outage. Now let's get back to that story about Everest in 2026. And so one of the things about this being such a busy year is that more people than ever will be wending their way through the Khumbu Icefall, and many of us know that that icefall is the most dangerous place for objective hazards on the mountain. And so last year there was testing on drone technology. These large drones are starting to do some of the work on the mountain. For instance, carrying ropes up that would be used by the Icefall Doctors, carrying oxygen bottles up, and then actually transporting large bags or nets filled with garbage down the mountain. These drones cost about $70,000 a pop. That's a lot of money. It seems insignificant when you look at the big picture. 450 permits on Mount Everest at $15,000 per is $6,750,000 US dollars. It's a staggering amount of money. We're going to talk about new legislation that was voted in for the potential of being enacted in 2027. But let's keep back on the curve of how things are changing and developing now on Everest. So the Icefall Doctors, which is part of the Sagarmartha Pollution Control Committee, the SPCC, they reportedly left Namche Bazaar, the capital of the Sherpa region in the Khumbu. They left there on March 1st. There was a group of 8 of them. They're up there now. They're doing their training, and apparently their puja ceremony is slated for March 16th. Whether this video is live or not on that date, I don't know, but it's right about to overlap. And after that puja, the all-important ceremony that helps begin every team on the mountain's climbing season, they will be given their auspicious date to begin working, and then those Icefall Doctors will start to bring the ropes into the Khumbu Icefall, fix the ropes for all the climbers, all the Sherpa, all the porters who will be going up and down the mountain throughout the season, which will culminate at the end of May. And now, Here's where the story takes a pretty interesting turn. And this gets back into the drone technology. A Nepali startup company, they're called Airlift Technology. They had deployed drones on Everest last year, the DJI Flycart 30s. These are really expensive drones, so you do not want to crash these drones. And what they're doing is ultimately giving that opportunity to take boots off the ground. For instance, Sherpa on the Icefall Doctor team going up and down to carry equipment up. These drones could do the work and thereby take away the risk of the human beings in the icefall. Many of you are aware of 2014 when over 100 porters and Sherpa were log jammed in the icefall. My tent was about 1.5 miles away from this when it happened. A massive block of ice fell off of the west shoulder, tumbled down into the icefall. 16 men, human beings, souls, immediately lost their lives. If there were drones being deployed at that time, who knows how many lives that might have saved. When you walk into the homes of people who lost one of these Sherpa or porter, you understand the immensity of what these drones might be able to bring. It is an absolutely gut-wrenching thing to go into a family, as I did, filming a documentary that year, and seeing the devastation and how things will change for that family. So saving lives is the ultimate end of these drones, not making it easier. It's about safety and making their lives safer. The Sherpa and the porters who are working on the mountains, the people who are there to climb it, they should do the work themselves as much as possible. That's just my editorial add-on. So in 2025, drones carried a reported 444 kilograms of rope and equipment for the Icefall Doctors. That's a lot. 900 kilograms of expedition gear, 150 oxygen cylinders for Asian trekking. In 2026, they're apparently being used to carry human waste down from above 26,000 feet or 8,000 meters. And then apparently they will be doing 3D mapping of serac instability so they know if a serac is moving, leading to the predictability of an avalanche or a serac crash. So, though I'll note what rarely gets said, now if these drones eliminate the most dangerous Sherpa and porter carries and reduce their exposure in the icefall, it is only a good thing. I think many of us in the mountaineering community are all for it. Let's make this a safer place, not trying to take away the actual climbing of Mount Everest from the clients and the people who are there to climb it, but making it safer for those who are employed in the business of giving us an opportunity to go and climb and summit that mountain. So let me introduce you to some of the notable climbers who will be on Everest this year. These are people returning, big name people. Tyler Andrews, he's the 35-year-old American attempting the fastest known time record to get to the summit and back to base camp without bottled oxygen. And then he has essentially a competitor, Carl Egloff, 44. He's an Ecuadorian Swiss climber, spent 3,000 hours in a hypoxic training chamber preparing for this specific event. Insane, right? Base camp to summit to base camp, no supplemental oxygen. And of course, there's Rita Sherpa. He's 56. His first summit of Everest was in 1994. He holds the record for most Everest summits in history, 31. Right? And he's going back for number 32. Also, somebody who has been on this channel, Kristen Harla. She's the Norwegian speed climber who completed all 14 8,000-meter peaks in 2023. She made that record in partnership with Tenzin Lama Sherpa. Tragically, also reported on this channel, Tenzin Lama Sherpa was killed on Shishapangma in 2023 in the autumn. Kristen will be there endeavoring to climb the mountain without bottled oxygen, and something she tried but hasn't completed yet. So we'll be keeping an eye on her. And Nims Persia, the former British Special Forces, he, many of you know, probably or possibly one of the most famous mountain climbers in the world. He's the one who previously had climbed all 14 8,000-meter peaks faster than anyone in 189 days. He is trying to, this year, complete the third complete round of all 14 8,000-meter peaks. That would make it a hat trick. And so the problem is that Cho-Oyu is closed on the Tibet side. So now let's talk a little bit about the rules. This year, for the first time, the permit fee has gone up from $11,000. It's enacted this year to be $15,000. I mentioned a little bit earlier that money, if there were only 450 permits sold, that's $6,750,000 in permit fees alone. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about the biogas project of a friend of mine, Dan Mazur, who will be there on the south side this year. This $600,000 project is built to literally take the human waste and put it into a biogas facility in Gorakshep, near Gorakshep, which is very close to base camp, and convert the human waste into methane, which can then therefore be used as cooking fuel for porters and Sherpa. There would also be a place for those people to stay at night after they've carried their loads, so they don't have to stay in the cold or huddle under a boulder, which is literally what some of them do on these trips. So I want to give a big shout out to Dan Mazur and the Biogas Project. The website that they have, which I'll put a link to here, is the toiletproblemoneverest.org. That has got to be one of the most unique URLs or website addresses I know of. And so in the recent vote, there was a tourism bill 2081. It was voted in with a provision that would very much transform Mount Everest. And the vote said that future climbers would have to have a 7,000-meter prerequisite before going to Everest. Before they would give them a permit, they would need a health certification and Nepali-only guide requirements. These rules do not always get passed, and I want to refer you to Alan Arnett's blog. He talks about the Everest 2026, the rumor fire season, and he lists the new, quotation, new rules. How many rules get passed and actually happen, and how many rules are just complete bunk and they're just show and they don't happen. Whether that requirement for a 7,000-meter peak to have previously been climbed in order to get a permit, I'm going to bank on that it's not going to happen, because now as it stands, they're going to make about $7 million in permits alone this year. Why would they give up this cash cow? However, as we reported at the beginning of this video, the new prime minister, the former, maybe still the current rap star, the former mayor of Kathmandu, he might say, we need to change things. We've got to do this right. Everest represents, metaphorically, our great country. So as I am saying, there's a lot of potential hope in here for positive changes. So let's talk a little bit about something visceral. The Sagarmartha Pollution Control Committee, last year in 2025, they removed 83 tons of waste from the mountain, including 31,797 kilograms of human waste. That's a nice way of saying excrement from these high camps. That's one season. And so what they have said from the SPCC is that the requirements are that every climber must come out of the mountain on their last trip down with 8 kilograms to show that they're taking garbage down. The trick here is that every climber carries up the mountain about 12 kilograms. So regardless of the efficiency and the impact of the SPCC, it's not quite enough. That's why a lot of us are hoping that this drone technology can be expanded and sent forward to take garbage down. Maybe teams would be dedicated just to removing this not only human waste, but the garbage as well that's left behind, tents and stakes and poles and ropes and things like that. Now, climbers are also still required this year, as they were last year, to carry WAG bags. These are bags that you use as like a portable toilet, and you are required to bring those bags back down the mountain and not dump out your human waste on the mountain. So the summit window will be opening sometime in May, as soon as the ropes are fixed to the top of Mount Everest above Camp 2. And now we have a new prime minister, a rap star. How cool is that? Gen Z has spoken. There are changes in Nepal. It's very, very exciting. And we'll see if some of those changes make their way up into the death zone on Mount Everest. It's just really kind of a thrilling time on Mount Everest, and we can only hope that those changes are heard and they reach the ears of the Prime Minister. So, you know, this to me seems like one of those seasons that, while there's all sorts of crazy things happening on the mountain, I'm sure there will be more tragedies. Kitty, you got it. I'm sure there will be more tragedies. We're hoping that some of the goodness and the positive vibrations of change will reach Mount Everest and really make a difference up there. And there we go. The 2026 season is upon us. What do you think? What do you want to see happen on the mountain this year? I am going to put a link to a brand new poll question in the description. I want to know your feelings on what you think would be the best change on Mount Everest in 2026. And hey, listen, again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment and click that subscribe button. And also check out everestmystery.com. There's some real cool merch on there, great t-shirts at everestmystery.com. Most importantly, do somebody a good deed. Don't ask for anything in return. Make the world a better place, one tiny step at a time. Peace be with you all.